Joe Biden's been on a lucky streak his whole career. At 29, he slid into the Senate with the help of a few union-run printing machines that buckled just before they were going to print a tax on Joe. And when his career was going nowhere and Barack Obama needed a white guy with foreign policy cred, boom, Joe was VP. And nothing says luck like running for president from your basement. Joe was supposed to be a one-term deal, a bridge to the next generation. But that bridge collapsed when we got a look at Kamala. So Joe's rolling the dice and running again. And he held his first re-election campaign event this weekend. And John Fetterman opened him up and called him a collapsed bridge.
Now I'm standing next to the president again, next to a collapsed bridge here. And he is here to commit to work with the governor and the delegation to make sure that we get this fixed quick, fast as well, too. This is a president that is committed to infrastructure. Yeah, and then on top of that, the dual kind of a law of the inflation bill.
This is the most sense Fetterman's ever made. Biden was supposed to be the bridge from an old generation to the new and just stop Trump and let Kamala take over next election. But that can't happen. That bridge blew up. So Biden testing his luck, running for re-election without a pandemic. So this time we're going to get a real Joe Biden in front of a crowd for an entire campaign. This has never happened in the history of Biden's career. Every time you put Biden in front of a crowd, he had to drop out of the race immediately. Well, here's why.
I might add, if I didn't, I'd be sleeping alone. You have to explain, I better explain that. Some don't know what I'm talking about. My wife's a Philly girl. All right, where are we going?
Biden's at a bridge collapse site and his jokes are bombing. The White House can protect him from the press, but they can't protect him from hecklers.
Well, guess what? You know what percentage they pay in taxes? 8%, E-I-G-H-T. I pay a hell of a lot more than that, man.
Joe may pay his taxes, but his son doesn't. Primetime did an investigation into the so-called Joe Biden campaign. There's no campaign. He has no headquarters. He has no finance department. And you ready? Jesse Watters Primetime has more staff than the Joe Biden re-election campaign. We counted. Now, a Democrat source says that Joe's fundraising has been, quote, extremely underwhelming. And that makes sense because donating to Biden this early is a risky investment. And a donation to Biden's basically like cutting a check to Kamala. And many Democrats are now questioning Biden like they've never questioned him before. Here's how the president left the stage Friday.
All right. God save the Queen, man.
Okay, you're in Connecticut, the Queen's dead, and you went to her funeral. But the media can't figure out what Joe's talking about because he doesn't give interviews. So we're all just guessing what's going on with him. The media calls this Republicans pouncing. Axios says Biden's quirky aphorisms are sometimes weaponized by Republicans. So instead of the media asking Biden what the heck he's talking about, the media just does stories on Republicans pouncing and doesn't even try to find out what Biden's talking about. And if the media asks Joe, what the heck are you talking about? God save the Queen. The White House is going to banish the reporter to Siberia. And instead of the media reporting that Joe Biden's not really campaigning, they just say he doesn't need to campaign.
Maybe save money until you actually get a serious challenger, because you don't have one in the primary, and just wait for the general to really ramp things up. What do you make of it, Susan?
Well, you know, Joe Biden has the great luxury of not having a credible primary opponent.
He doesn't have a credible primary opponent? Who said RFK Jr. is not a credible primary opponent? Some hack pundit? RFK Jr. is at 20%, and 70% of the country says they don't want Biden to run again. And the media just says, yeah, Biden can coast. He's got no challengers. But the country doesn't even care that they're getting lied to. Being lied to feels better. Just sit back. Don't question anything. Lay back. Get comfortable. We're just going to make this election nice and easy. The author of Brave New World, Audrey Huxley, predicted this is what we were going to experience in the United States at some point. Watch.
I think what is going to happen in the future is the dictators will find, as the old saying goes, that you can do everything with bayonets except sit on them. That if you want to preserve your power indefinitely, you have to get the consent of the ruled. And this they will do partly by drugs, partly by these new techniques of propaganda. They will do it by bypassing the sort of rational side of man and appealing to his subconscious and his deeper emotions and his physiology even, and so making him actually love his slavery.
Making him love his slavery. Are we already here? They told us to work from home. Doctors are handing out painkillers like this. Cannabis is legal. Nobody cooks. We order Seamless. We watch Amazon Prime. Don't question anything. That's offensive. Don't rock the boat. We'll drain the reserves before each election, keep the gas prices low. Everything's Russia's fault. Just sit back and play on your iPhone. We're going to arrest the good guys while the bad guys run the country?
Look what Joe Biden did. His documents are strode in at least 4 different locations, and we suspect that 1 to 2 documents that were in his possession are on the president's son's laptop in an email to a foreign national.
So Hunter was emailing Joe's classified documents to his foreign business partners, and the FBI is covering it up and arresting Trump? In exchange, Biden strong-arms Burisma to hire his druggy son, and the next month, Hunter opens up an offshore account in Malta with a bank that's so dirty it got shut down for money laundering. NBC News won't even report that. They can't report it because the second they report it, the dam breaks. NBC News used to report real news.
There's an old saying in Washington that the cover-up is worse than the crime. But in this case, both parts of it are disturbing. Allegations of prostitution and pedophilia, and allegations that those crimes were somehow covered up or not looked into. So the State Department this morning is having to respond to those claims and those investigations of misconduct by State Department officials, including by an ambassador and security agents attached to then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. And the allegations are that these investigations were whitewashed, quashed altogether, and that those orders came from high up.
NBC News reported that Hillary Clinton covered up pedophilia and prostitution at the State Department. Number one, did you even know that? Number two, do you think they'd ever report something like that today? Now, the media used to love reporting about cover-ups, but now they're the ones doing the cover-up. One whistleblower came out and it led to Trump's impeachment. Now, we're counting dozens of whistleblowers, IRS, FBI, Justice, a White House stenographer. If someone blows a whistle and a Democrat in D.C., does it make a sound? The media can't even admit Biden and Trump are neck and neck in the polls. Watch.
Trump's favorable ratings actually went from 76%. I'm sorry, his favorable 76, 60. You got me. I'm mixed up here. A poll from Quinnipiac on a possible Biden-Trump matchup puts Biden at 48%, Trump at 44%. This is a poll, again, taken largely after the indictment. I mean, that's got to make you a little nervous. That's within the margin of error. That is a statistical tie.
Now, the media can't figure out why Republicans like Trump because the media never talks to real Republicans. The only Republicans the media talks to are former Republicans or Republicans Trump fired or beat. But the conservative media talked to Democrats at Biden's so-called campaign event, and the union members told the Free Beacon, Joe's not rough and tumble enough. They think he's too old. They want him to talk about more stuff like guns and immigration, and they don't really think he's done enough. They don't see him enough. Democrat voters are unhappy with Joe Biden. The Biden re-election campaign doesn't exist. The bribe scandal's blowing up, and everybody thinks we're headed in the wrong direction. And the media is confused that Trump's tied, but tell you everything's just going to be fine? With just a little vigilance, we'll be able to beat these people. That's all it's going to take.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.